Good evening, B&R family. Happy Friday to you all, and welcome to the stream. We've got a couple of things that are slightly different tonight. One of them, obviously, you will see that there is only me at the moment, and it is only me for now. Asim will be joining us very shortly. We might get another one or two on, but for now, it's just going to be me kicking us off. And the other thing as well that we're doing tonight is we're going live on time for a change. So no one will be able to call us born and late, which is a refreshing change. But anyway, how are we all doing, people? How's things? Are we all, we've all been sat there twiddling our thumbs all day, waiting for this magical bid to come through for Alexander Isak, and it is still yet to come through. I'm hoping it's coming very shortly, to be honest, because I think we're all on the edge of our seats waiting for it. But yeah, fingers crossed, it is coming soon. But there has been some other little news today. There's been a few more bits and bobs come through. There's been some breaking news just in the last half an hour regarding some of the comments from Arna's press conference this morning. Some of the big news, be interesting to see what the chat thinks. But Andy Robertson has been announced as our new vice captain. How do we all feel about that? Personally, I think it's a really great decision. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would have thought that Mohamed Salah would be the obvious and expected choice, and I can totally understand that. And it is a big factor that, you know, Salah does play majority of the times, and it looks like there's a very good chance that Robertson won't be playing as much. But I just think that, you know, after everything that's gone on this summer, all of the, you know, the trials and tribulations, the emotion that we've all had to go through with the tragic loss of Diogo, I think maybe this is a much more of a smart move in terms of what Robertson will be able to offer off the pitch as much as on the pitch. Because let's all have it right, the captain obviously on the pitch is Virgil, and he certainly won't be missing many games. I'd expect him to be playing the majority of games this season. So, you know, in reality, you know, he's going to be playing the majority of games. But so we're not going to necessarily need an additional captain on the pitch. But off the pitch, I think Robertson may well be somebody who, you know, brings those leadership qualities, supports the team, arm round shoulders when required. And then obviously the odd time that Van Dijk isn't playing, Robertson is a perfectly capable captain. And, you know, he's obviously the captain of Scotland, and he's shown that he's got all the experience in the world. So I've got no problems with it at all. I think it's a really smart decision. And for all we know, that it could have been a factor that convinced him to stay as well as summer, because we all know he was strongly linked with a move away to Atletico. And, you know, obviously he's decided to change his mind and stay. And maybe this was a factor as part of it. What do we all think, chat? What's our feelings on it? Just having a little look through. Are we all feeling comfortable that Robertson is a good choice, or is there anybody who maybe thinks that it should have been Mo? I think the chat's sort of like split opinion on it. Yeah, I'm not sure. Bit of a mixed bag. Yeah, I think generally speaking, it's a good move though. But yeah, some other news coming through was that with regard to the press conference, there was some question asked about Konate as well, about how you're feeling about his current form, you know, where he's up to it so far this summer. I thought it was interesting, his quotes as well, that Slot did directly say that the fact that he's got a new right back is playing a part in his form. And, you know, I think it's something that we've touched on in a few shows, that he hasn't got that out ball now to, you know, a deep progressive passer from the back line. He is in a situation where, you know, it is it is a bit of a difficult thing. I know people could say, well, Van Dijk's got a new partner on the left-hand side, but I think we all know that Van Dijk's a bit of a phenomenon. So, we all know that he could probably play with anybody left or right, and it won't make no difference. But Ibu, obviously, it's slightly different for him, and it's a little bit of a change. And it's something that is obviously still getting to grips with. A few people in the chat saying, is it just me tonight? It isn't just me tonight. You'll be glad to know it is not just me tonight. Asim will be joining us shortly. He's just on the way back from an engagement, and he'll be with us very shortly. I'm not sure if we've got anyone else coming on tonight, but Asim will be with us in the very near future. So you haven't got to just listen to me for too long. I'm just trying to hold things together while we have a few more people join. But a couple of people saying there, any news on Isak? Nothing that you've already seen. I know the ultras, obviously, in the WhatsApp group today have been very lively and dropping all the information in that they can. And no, we haven't had any news about it. And I think, I personally thought that we would have had a bid maybe tonight, to be honest. But we haven't had that formal confirmation of Nick Voltermaid signing for Newcastle, so maybe that's a thing. I'm also seeing a little bit of information tonight about Wolves potentially agreeing a deal with another striker. I'm not sure what his name is. I'm sure someone in the chat will share it. But if that striker comes to pass with Wolves, then that might release Strand Larsen, and in which case they'll get the second striker over the line, and then fingers crossed, it'll just be a formality with regards to Isak. But if that deal does drag on until Monday, then I don't know. I don't know what the chat thinks, but I feel as though now the most likely outcome is that we see some sort of a bid tomorrow. Because obviously there's a lot going on Sunday. Small matter of a huge game on Sunday against Arsenal, but yeah, it's what's called it's getting very close now. And I think I've just a few people in the chat saying about Luke Edwards' comments. Our wonderful friend Luke Edwards all summer, and he's just dropped in another little curveball tonight saying that you're never quite sure until you're sure on all this nonsense. But yeah, I think we're all confident that this will happen now, and it's just a case of when, not if. But yeah, I think fingers crossed the bid will come in hopefully tomorrow, and then it'll start to play out, and maybe it gets signed, sealed, and delivered on deadline day, which would be a little bit too close for my liking. But you know what? As long as it's done before 7 o'clock on Monday, then I'm absolutely fine there. Ethan's saying there, the thing is, Ben, the bid might not be made public. We might just get a deal agreed. I think that's a really good shout, that. Ethan, I think that all the time that the two parties have had to deal with this situation, they've both known that Liverpool were going to come back. They've both known that Newcastle were going to come to the table once they get their players over the line. So I would be I said it last night, I'd be flabbergasted if a deal has not been agreed more or less in principle behind closed doors. There might be a little bit of PR spin. There might be like one bid goes in and then they reject it and then we go with another bid. But I think everyone would start to lose their minds if that started to happen, to be honest. I feel like there's a very good chance that it'll just be something along the lines of not even a bid and then it's accepted. It might just be something as wild as Liverpool and Newcastle have come to an agreement for X fee. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know whether it's not something that we've seen a lot this summer, but in previous transfer windows, a lot of times there's been a deal agreed for the transfer and it's been an undisclosed bid or an undisclosed figure. And I wonder whether that's something that could possibly happen with the Isak deal, in terms of they agree something and it's undisclosed, and that sort of like covers both sides of the fence, in terms of Newcastle can sell to everybody whatever they want in terms of what the fee was, and Liverpool can do the same, but no one will actually know for definite, and it'll just be a case of both parties were happy with what's agreed, but then both parties in a way save face, in terms of, if Liverpool end up having to pay more than they want, then they look like they've sort of not been the great negotiators. And likewise, if Newcastle end up agreeing a deal of, 150, 120 or whatever plus add-ons, then it might look as if they're the ones who have sort of rolled over. as soon as what's called the Liverpool have come back to the table. So who knows? Who knows? I just wonder whether or not that might be something that might happen. Someone else saying there in the chat. Let me have a look at that one. Nathaniel James saying transfer fee may not be disclosed like an undisclosed fee. Yeah, see that's what I was saying there. Could possibly be the case to cover everybody's back. But yeah, what do you all think? What are you feeling in terms of whether or not this bid comes in tomorrow? I think, as I say, I feel like deep down it sort of doesn't matter. But yeah, I don't think it would matter at all. Just have to see what else. What are the chats saying? LFC David, Ben, would you take Trent back? Absolutely and utterly no. No chance whatsoever I would take Trent back. Purely because it makes no sense whatsoever. There's no way that I would take him back because he's made his bed and now he's got to lie in it. And, it's nothing to do whether we would take him back or I would take him back. He wouldn't come back because he's left Liverpool for a new challenge in a new country. And that doesn't involve coming back to the same country 6 weeks after he's left because he's not got a game. So I think, let's just calm ourselves down there. He definitely won't be coming anywhere near Liverpool in the near distant future. And you know what? Regardless of what we all think of him and how he dealt with the situation, he's a strong-willed character and he's got a lot about him. And I'm sure he'll do everything he possibly can to get into that team. And the only time he'll be coming back to Liverpool anytime soon will be in the Champions League when Rio Wingamoa skins him alive. Fingers crossed. We'll see. But yeah, no, he won't be coming back at all. What's this one saying? Let's have a look. What else the chat's got to say? Ben, what's the latest news? Pretty much the same as what everyone else. Marcus, they're saying Morgan Rogers would be great. Morgan Rogers would be unbelievable. I've heard a little bit of stuff today, only the same as what everybody else has read regarding some sort of potential swap deal with Harvey and Morgan Rogers. I have to admit, I would be all over that. I think Morgan Rogers is a phenomenal talent. I think Villa are in a little bit of a mess, to be honest. The PSR right on the edge, didn't qualify for the Champions League, started the season very flat. So, you know what? If we manage to get Isak done, get Guehi over the line as well, if, at the 11th hour, we sold Harvey, maybe, dare I say, to Villa, and did a swap deal of some description with Morgan Rogers, I think that would be a phenomenal deal. I think Morgan Rogers would fit into Liverpool brilliantly. He'd be able to play him in midfield. He'd be able to play left of the three. Totally versatile player, loads of potential. I would absolutely love Liverpool to get him, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. What else have we got in the chat? People saying, where is this bid? When will it happen? Like I've said, you know what? I think we just need to wait and it'll come. It'll come. Don't worry about it. Some people in the chat saying, check Luke Edwards. Has he just sent another funky message, has he? Or is that the one that's come bought for? No, he hasn't done anything else. I have got him on the bell notifications, shamefully. I do apologise, but it has made me laugh. Just another quote from Slot here about Kirkes. In both games, he has faced the biggest threat of the other team, Antoine Semenyo and Alanga. It's fair enough to say he's had a difficult start, but it's not from him, it's from us as a team. And I think that's a really good point from Arne. And I think it probably reflects the performance of a lot of the new players in terms of it's just not quite there yet because the fluency's not really there yet. The structure's not really there yet. And people have got to gel. People have got to get used to each other. Like I said this on a show a couple of weeks ago. PSG were the champions last year. By the time we played them and other teams in the knockouts played them, they looked absolutely phenomenal. They were a perfect unit and they looked like they've been playing together for years. But if people remember at the beginning of the season, they were a bit of a shambles. They just about scraped through in the Champions League group. I think they lost to Arsenal and maybe another team or two. So even at the beginning of that season, when they ended up being champions, they were still there's still lots of problems and issues, and they had to sew a lot of things together. So I take a lot of comfort from that. If we're in a position at the moment where we're able to, all right, we've shipped a few goals, but if we're in a position where we can score, 4 in the first game and 3 in the second game, in 2 very difficult games, by the way, obviously conceding a few goals, which we won't want to do, but the signs there of the class and the quality are for all to see. So once we get a fluency and a structure and a balance to the team, then my word, sky's the limit. And don't forget, if we're going to drop Alexander Isak and Mark Guehi into this equation, then the sky's the limit. And the sky is the limit. And here he is. He's back.
What's happening, Ben? What's going on, man?
15 minutes feels like 3 hours when you're on your own.
I said 5 minutes, but in all B&R fashion, 5 minutes means about 15. So
well, I've broke the greatest B&R hoodoo tonight. He said to Waxy, when do you want to go live? And I said, bang on time. I said, because we're going to set some precedents there that we're not going to be called B&R being late tonight. So we went.
Oh, you went on time. You went on time.
We went on time, yeah. So 22 feet. So you best appreciate that chat. That you've had a full 15 minutes, bang on time. But yeah, we've just been gabbing away about a little bit of news from the way there's the what do they call it? The watershed quotes from the press conference. So we've had the news about Robertson being named the vice captain. I said I was really happy with the decision. A lot of obviously people would have assumed that it would have been Salah, for obvious reasons, that the guy plays for a start, which is a big factor. But my sort of counter argument to it was that for 99% of the time Virgil plays, so he's the captain on the pitch, and I wonder whether or not the decision to make Robertson vice captain, is more maybe something that will support off the pitch, and he'll be somebody who'll show a lot of leadership qualities off the pitch. But what do you think, mate?
I tweeted the moment it came out. I was expecting it to be Mohamed Salah. I think everyone was expecting it to be Mohamed Salah. I think there's an interview that happened just when we were launching the kit. I think there was a picture. I think they were doing an interview maybe with Sky Sports or LFC TV. I don't know who it was, but it was Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk. So I think the rumors started from there that these two are sat there because it's the vice captain.
Oh, yeah. I remember that, where they were talking about, the summer and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not going to lie, Ben. In isolation, Robbo is an unbelievable legend. And he's a legend in his own right. I absolutely love him. His demeanor, his character, his sense of humor, the way he brings people together. Even that little clip from what we saw today of how he was talking about Rio.
Oh yeah, Rio is getting a new cut.
The new cut. Look,
I saw
every
that
single
one. Yeah.
time he is cracking the jokes when it comes to those inside Anfield videos. And look, I absolutely love him, and I talk and represent the whole fan base when I express my sentiments towards Andy Robertson.
Absolutely.
But I wanted it, if I was my personal choice, I wanted it to be Mohamed Salah. Why? And I understand this argument that Mohamed Salah is going to be playing games with Virgil van Dijk, and when he's probably rested, Virgil van Dijk is probably because Salah is on the bench as well, or chilling at home.
Absolutely,
whilst Robbo is leading the cup side. I get that, but sometimes I think two points I want to make is I think Salah is a leader in his own right. This notion about attackers shouldn't be leaders. Well,
he's grown into be a leader, hasn't he? He's evolved 100%. Into becoming a leader. Yeah.
100%. And again, I touched on today's interviews I saw today. Him talking about
with Pat.
Yeah, I think it was. I just saw the quotations. I don't know who it was, and he was talking about how his role has changed. Last year was about individual, and obviously it was all about the team as well. But he was doing these selfies and this, and I'm not saying like he made it about himself, but it's sometimes an internal motivation, a drive, just to get yourself going, and then overall as a collective as well, and it spreads across the changing room. And he was talking about how his role is changing, how he is going to be bringing the youth and giving them time, and these sort of the people that I talked to, they said, and I mentioned it about a couple of months ago, that the amount of time he's given to the likes of Rio on the training field is very, very evident, and it's showing across. I think I took a video of him just after the goal, after the Preston game. But I wanted it to be Salah, because I think he's a leader in his own right. I think he sometimes deserves that armband as well. It sometimes drives them on. And some people will say, look, why do you want to give him the responsibility? But I think he thrives upon the responsibility.
And he definitely, the dynamic of his role, he's even admitted himself that it's changing this year. Like last year, he was basically saying that he was on a bit of a mission to be the man, he was going to just solely drive us over the line for the title. Whereas this year, he's like, it's all about the team. It's all about the team. And it's about me developing or building the culture of winning in the new players and the younger players, which is really interesting to see. But yeah, you're right. It's like, it's a bit mad that, he could have been with us for 10 years by the time he finishes, and yet he will have never been in a captain or a vice captain's role. But I suppose in a way, we're lucky that we've got so many candidates as well, aren't we? Which is nice.
True. What I would say also, and the second point is probably going to be a bit controversial, is 5-6 weeks ago we were talking about Robertson wants to be at Atletico Madrid, and there was talk
that's
about.
What I've just said before. I was going to say, the cynic in me. Do you think that carrot was given to him, or one of the ways to persuade him to stay?
Maybe, because I think he's not going to be happy with the minutes that he's getting on the pitch.
Exactly.
So maybe this is a bit of a carrot to stay on the bench, lead the second team. And look, in all honesty, when it comes to Robertson / Kirkes, if I'm really honest, Kirkes hasn't been bad, but he's learning the role. He's learning how to wear the shirt. It's a lot more responsibility, a lot more weight wearing the Liverpool shirt compared to Bournemouth. So, look, Robertson won't just accept a bench role. He will think,
No,
I've still got plenty of legs. I want to play. And that's how it should be as well. We shouldn't say, look, Kirkes is completely first choice regardless of his form. No, you have to earn the right to play. And that's how it should be, especially at big clubs. So, look, at the end of the day, he's made his decision. That was just my personal choice. Is Robertson a bad vice captain? No. Whoever says Robertson's a bad vice captain, I think he's
a captain of his country, isn't he? And there's no more honour of being captain of Scotland, isn't there? The pressure that must bring with it, etc. So yeah, absolutely. The other interesting quote
before you go on, a lot of chat saying remove this guy, spammer alert. Oh, this guy. Okay, I'm blocking him.
Who's this? I've not got the access to do it.
It was some guy spamming. I've blocked him anyway. Straight red.
All right, okay. Straight red. Yeah. So the other interesting quote, and that ties in a little bit with Kirkes and him coming in, was about Konate, and there was a quote where he said, "What's your opinion?" It doesn't say the question, but it just gives the answer. But you can read between the lines that the question was, what are your thoughts on Ibu's start of the season? And his quote was basically, it's been very challenging for him because, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's basically because he's got a new partner alongside him. And he's having to get used to a new right back. And that's really interesting because that's exactly what we've been saying, isn't it? The last few nights that, he's got to get used to not having somebody who he can just lay it off to, who can do all of the deep line passing and progressive passing from the back. He's having to obviously do it himself, and that's maybe having a bit of an impact on his defending as well. So yeah, it was interesting. I don't know whether you had any thoughts on that.
Ben, I think I tweeted about 2-3 weeks ago that the one player that is going to miss Trent Alexander-Arnold the most is Ibu Konate. Why? Because he plays him right next to him. Nobody can try to copycat the style and the skill set of Virgil van Dijk. He's a unicorn. He is one in a million. And the best thing is about Van Dijk is, and the hardest in terms of replacing him, is you have to be. It's a lot easier being the Konate type of defender than being the Virgil van Dijk defender. If you don't want to just take the example of Van Dijk and Konate, go to Arsenal. It's a lot easier being the Gabriel than being the Saliba. It's that footballer to an extent is all natural, isn't it? So the problem now arises for Ibu Konate is, one, the progressor of in deep areas in Trent has left him, and also to get the best out of Frimpong and Bradley is you have to make them go higher, because that is when you take advantage of their intensity and speed. And what happens is there's an increased responsibility on the ball, responsibility in Ibu Konate. So not only now he needs to be the guy who sweeps up in right back areas, but he also needs to be the progressor. And I made this distinction between a guy who steps into midfield like a Matip. We've seen Konate when they've given him the ball, the opposition, where they want to press they don't want to press Van Dijk because he's got a 60-yard ping. But Konate doesn't have that 60-yard ping, and he is the trigger. He is the trigger. Yeah. And if you've got a team that's sitting off, then he can come into midfield and go into like a Joel Matip type of a mazy run. But when you're playing against aggressive teams in Bournemouth, in Newcastle United, when they don't sit off and they press you and you're the trigger, then you need to know and you need to have the manipulation of the ball and your body is to either bypass that either through a pass, but if you don't, then you need to drop a shoulder, not a Ryan Gravenberch style, but how many times have you seen Saliba just come 5-10 yards into midfield and bypass that press with the first man who jumps? That is a completely different skill set. Why? Because one, you're doing it under pressure. Two, you're mostly doing it in away grounds and feisty atmospheres like Newcastle. So it's a completely different. And if you combine all these factors I've said, he needs to learn the role. But how does he combat that now? Does he ultimately get better on the ball? I don't think he's going to get much better. Two, I think Arne Slot needs to make sure you probably adjust that right back position. But the problem he has, and just to finish off, Ben, is Bradley and Frimpong are not the best deep progressors in their own right. So this is why I was
Frimpong's a ball carrier, isn't he? Where you can't always carry the ball out, and Bradley's been in and out. So it's difficult, isn't it? Really difficult.
And this is the reason why I think the hybrid of a Frimpong / Bradley and a Trent is Dominic Szoboszlai in right back positions.
You got the best. It's funny actually because it's actually with Ibu, you're looking at it and studying it, and it's almost as if like it's having an impact on his actual defending, which he's naturally great at. But because of he's struggling with that deep progressive passing and coming out. Loving the hoodie. Asim, they are going to be available to us to purchase.
Yeah,
getting some B&R merch on the way.
You know, I think we are not. I'm not going to lie and say this is coming, but our friend, Shide, he's got. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say, but he's got his own factory. He supplies big people and big companies around the world. Some of the biggest companies in the world, and he sent this. And he made me about 3-4 shirts and 3-4 hoodies as samples. And I'm telling you now, I don't know if the quality of the hoodie and the quality of this type of print comes out in the stream. But honestly, it's an unbelievable hoodie in terms of quality.
I want a t-shirt. I want shorts. I want a hoodie.
You will get this. But you know what?
Would you buy B&R merch, chat? Tell us yes or no.
I think that is very it's very marketable. That logo.
Is there a market for this? I think there will be. Yeah, we love a bit of merch, don't we? Absolutely. But I was just going to say on Ibu, it's actually having an impact on his defending because the fact that he's struggling with his passing, then he's really sort of like it's impacting his actual defending. And I was just going to say, if you actually watch the goal, the winner for Rio against Newcastle, the ball that Ibu plays at the start of that move, he sells Ryan short and he has to slide tackle to make the pass, and that's what frees up the space, and it goes out to Bradley, I think it is, and obviously Bradley punches it into to Chiesa. But it's like that move nearly broke down because of Ibu's shortcomings just with his simple passing, because his head's just a bit scrambled at the moment. So we've seen him have these little periods before, haven't we, where he looks like he's never played football before. But then equally, he has these periods when he's in the zone and he looks like flipping Pete Baresi. So, hopefully he does snap out of it in the not too distant future, and we'll see where we're at.
100%. A lot of people saying switch to sub mode. Asim, I believe it or not, I don't know how to do it. So I've just texted the admin now just to switch that on. There's too many idiots in the chat tonight. So I've got my close eye on the chat. As soon as something...
Waxy said that he's in still, so he might be able to do it.
Yeah, so we need sub mode on. He goes, it's done. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Waxy.
Magic.
Okay. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Friday night always brings out the whoppers, doesn't it?
Ben, this is a very, very, very important call that I need to take. So I'm just going to put myself on mute. And you know what? It's about Liverpool as well. So,
all right.
2 seconds.
How many million? Right. Okay. So let us go back to the chat and see. So there's a few people putting in. Oh yeah, what's that quote there from? So Leipzig have made a direct contact with Liverpool over Harvey Elliott as they are on line to replace Javi. Oh, so is that Joycey who's dropped that in? That's interesting because with Joycey, oh no, it hasn't just dropped. That must have been from earlier on. I think with Joycey, he sort of like, he only really comes in when it's absolutely nailed on. But yeah, with regards to Harvey, we haven't really touched on Harvey yet. I did mention earlier on, like, if there was a swap deal in place for Harvey and Morgan Rogers, and I'd be all over that, to be honest. That'd be superb. However, I do wonder whether or not, I don't know, I was listening to another show earlier on this afternoon, to be honest, talking about Harvey Elliott. I don't know what the chat think, but I think that he will go, Elliott, purely because, I don't know why, but I just feel like that Arna just doesn't back him and doesn't play him enough. And therefore, we're just talking about Harvey, mate.
Yeah.
A few people in the chat saying about whether he'll go or whether he'll stay. I don't know. I'm just sort of the opinion that if the bid, whoever that may be from, is anything close to what we want, I think we will let him go for his sake and for ours, because I just feel as though Arna just doesn't fancy him.
There was talk about Harvey Elliott going and someone like Morgan Rogers arriving.
Exactly. I did mention that earlier on. Yeah, I'd be all over that, if I'm being honest. Like, I'd be all over that deal.
I would be all over that deal as well. But do you see it happening, Ben? Do you really see us going for Morgan Rogers? Where would Morgan Rogers play? If I was Morgan Rogers and I'm thinking, okay, I can play in the number 10 position for Liverpool, but they've just bought and smashed the British record in Florian Wirtz. I can't play in the Salah position. I can't play in the false 9 position or the 9 position because they've got Ekiti getting Ekiti.
Wouldn't it?
So there's only one position that I can really get my name on and fight it out with Gakpo.
With Gakpo,
and
yeah.
Let's be honest, Gakpo, as you guys know what I think of Gakpo. I think he's a really, really good player, but I don't think he's a world-class player. But I don't think Morgan Rogers is a world-class player as well.
No.
He can maybe develop into that, but Gakpo has got years on him as well.
But then I suppose Rogers is the sort of player that almost in a Diaz mold, but just in a different way, in the fact that he doesn't come in and automatically oust Gakpo, in the fact that Gakpo's then instantly on the bench. Whereas, I don't know, if a Barcola or a Rodrigo come in, then you'd automatically be assuming that within a few weeks, whatever, they'd be first choice and Gakpo would be literally second fiddle. Whereas Rodgers, it's almost like, well, go on, fight it out. Both of you, there's not a lot between you. Both could be first team, different profiles, different style players. Let's see who comes out on top. And I did say, didn't I? I think, when Bradley signed a new deal, I almost think sometimes that when players sign a new deal, it's a bit of a sweetener. Jones did it when he signed his 5-year deal. It was like, you're a good player, but you're not going to be playing every week. But there's the 5-year deal so that you're happy with that, so that you accept that role. Bradley, I feel like, is a similar thing because they knew they were going to bring in another right back. And that stopped Bradley from wanting to walk. And I wonder whether or not they've give Gakpo this deal now because they've said to him, we are going to bring in another left-sided player and you're not going to be guaranteed to start. So therefore, this is sort of a deal to be able to make sure that you're comfortable and you're challenging, but there's no guarantees that you're going to play. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but I wonder. I think it'd be absolute heaven if we bought in another wide forward at that standard.
I would take it right now because you're right. If Morgan Rogers is playing on the left hand side, he'd obviously play a bit differently to Cody Gakpo.
Yeah.
He'd play differently to how Luis Diaz played it. But I just think
he could play in midfield as well if he got an injury or two, couldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. But I just think if Morgan Rogers is bought and the way he would play, it would. And we've been talking about, and even though I don't think Ekitike would be starting a lot of games from the left hand side, in matches, I think he will. But on paper, I'd be surprised if that's the case. But if Ekitike is on the left hand side on paper, if Morgan Rogers is on the left hand side on paper, then they both be wanting to come inside and play as that not second striker. But they'd be spending a lot of time on that left half space. So I wonder I don't see Kirkes spending a lot of time in the first phase of our attacks on the halfway line. I just don't think so. I think it will be very, very similar in build-up when it comes to someone PSG. Someone like Mendes who stays and then goes in the second and third attack. And I think that's what Arne Slot's principles are. Obviously, in natural fluidity, things will happen, and we'll see variation. But I want to talk to you about the Alexander Isak fee.
Okay.
Sometimes I give you guys a bit of an opinion. Sometimes I give you an opinion, but it's based on a bit of information. Now I can tell you that the reason why I just randomly said that the fee I think will be around 120. What did I say yesterday? About 125 million all in.
125 million plus add-ons 130, I think.
I said 125 million absolute max, because we were talking about how the narrative has gone up to around about 140, 150 million pounds.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And I said, and yesterday I spoke to around about 5-6 o'clock to someone, and that's the reason why I mentioned it on stream, that my opinion from 140 to 150 million pound.
It was a bit of a calculated opinion.
It was a calculated opinion. And I'll read you the message out. It was actually 1916, so it's 7:10, 7:15 yesterday. And I asked about, and I says 130 is doing the rounds. Do you think that gets it done? And I got a reply saying 120, I think. It's whether they accept. Then I said about the 5 million add-ons and all that sort of stuff. And I got a reply saying maybe, we'll see, maybe if they blink. But I don't see them going from 110 million to 125 plus. Perhaps they will at the end of the day, but maybe that's the compromise. So that is what I got yesterday. And Alex Crook mentioned it today, that I won't be all surprised if Isak goes to Liverpool, gets done by Monday, but it won't be as much as 130 million pounds. So I messaged my guy saying, look, thank you very much. But it looks like Liverpool don't want to, and are sending their messages that, you know what, the bid that is going to come and the title, and a lot of people said, oh, it's clickbait and this and that. But I believe that Alexander Isak is going to become a Liverpool player by Monday before 7 o'clock when the window shuts. You have the same opinion. 95% of the people in the chat have the same opinion. So surely the bloody bid is imminent, isn't it? So
of course it is.
Of course it is. So the bid
We've only got 3 days left. It has to be flipping imminent.
Exactly. So I don't think
we're almost in a position where we can't say the next 24 to 48 hours are important. But
exactly.
One thing that was mentioned earlier on, just before you jumped on, was that apparently there's been some news breaking tonight that Wolves are close to agreeing a deal for another striker. So, which case that would potentially release Strand Larsen for him to go to Newcastle. And I think the patch journalists in the Northeast, your Craig and your Keith Downey and even Luke, were saying that the fee might be dependent, and we've said it as well, the fee might actually be impacted by whether they've got 1 or 2 over the line by the time that comes. If it's only 1, i.e. if it's only Walter Maid, then it would be maybe a little bit more. But if they've got the 2 done and dusted, then they're basically saying they've spent a chunk of the Isak money. So at that point, they're just taking the best deal they can get not really in a position to sort of like, push the luck because they need to get this done rather than they want to get it done. So I think if Strand Larsen comes in over the weekend, then I think you're absolutely spot on. I think we're looking at about 125 max.
100%. What's this Wolves deal? Here we go. What's happened?
Yeah, so that was they've just what's it called? I don't know if it's a here we go, but I'm pretty sure that's what come out before that Wolves have nearly done a deal for another striker.
Nice.
And I wonder whether or not that's to cover Strand Larsen being able to go to Newcastle. So if they get 2 over the line over the weekend, then Isak is pretty much done and dusted.
One thing what we need to clarify and remind people in the chat, especially the ones who are panicking and worrying, is the fact that the Isak deal will not take a long time now. We saw Walter Made get done within literally hours. It broke, and then in 3-4 hours time, he was landing in Newcastle. That is the type of deal, I believe, and it has to be. We've got no choice, and we've got no time left. The Isak deal, the personal terms, every single thing is done. It's all about the green light from Newcastle. And I'm telling you now, Alexander Isak and his agent are on that train line ticket. The moment they get the green light, they will book that ticket. If we have to pick them up, if me and Ben have to drive up to Newcastle and pick Alexander Isak up and drive him for the medical, then we will do. So don't worry about it.
It's funny you should say that, though, because this is wild. Like, and I know it's Friday night. We haven't had a drink or anything, but I heard some mad one today to suggest that there is a small possibility, and I think the first one is completely impossible, but there's a second one where they were saying there's no chance on planet Earth that Liverpool are spending 9 figures on a forward and they're not doing some sort of media thing for them, social media and whatnot. But they were saying that there was a chance that could have been done already, because what's he doing with himself once he's gone training in the afternoon? There's no reason why we couldn't smuggle him up or put him in a room somewhere and do some sort of like media with him. That obviously stays in a box until it all comes out.
You think we've done the media?
Well, then that was the one. And then someone else suggested that could there be a world where he's already done a medical as well? Because, why not, sort of thing. If it's getting to the point where it's so close and they don't want anything to go to chance, is there a possibility that some of this mad stuff that needs to be done could be done, like, because it's 24 hours for a medical, really, isn't it? These days, it's like 2 halves of it. So really, they don't want to be negotiating. They don't want to be negotiating at 4 o'clock on Monday and then say, right, a medical. Like, I don't know. I wonder how the deal sheet works. Is it a case of if we agree a deal before 7 o'clock Monday, then we can still do the medical on our own time after that?
Yeah, they give you some special dispensation if the clubs agree.
Do they?
They give you so many times. You've heard deals get
registered afterwards,
and the Premier League gives them a special dispensation. I think for the for the whole scenario and for the whole saga, I think even the Premier League would provide special dispensation. But look, I would be happy to sign Alexander Isak without a medical. I'd take it. I'd risk £125 million right now.
It's absolutely mad if you think about what's going to take place now. If it doesn't get done over the weekend, we're going to have a British transfer record on deadline day. It's like completely unprecedented situation, isn't it, really, where you're talking like high stakes poker, where if the deal is not actually agreed by, say mid-morning, then we're all going to be losing our shit, aren't we, really? And we're going to be thinking, oh, Newcastle just going to go, oh, no, we haven't been able to do it, and we'll pull the plug, sorry. And he just stays. You just don't know, do you? The Saudis are just wildcats. So you just have to hope that we just get it done as soon as possible.
Just no late heart attacks. That's all.
I'm spending too much time with the ultras. They're stressing me out. But,
I was the ultras today because I've not spent, to be honest with you, I've not spent a lot of time on Twitter today because I've been really, really busy and I've just come back from an engagement. But how's the feeling amongst Liverpool fans? Are they still worried?
Well, I cleared the messages at lunchtime, and it was 957, and I went back 2 hours later, and it was 465.
How's my brother Rehan doing?
Oh man, he is the chief cheerleader. The chief cheerleader.
If Rehan
yeah.
is flip flopping today, then I'm going to be disappointed. I'm sure
he's good. He's holding the stalwarts together. But yeah, I think generally the vibe in there now is a lot more sort of like when, not if. But at the same time, I think everybody just wants it done and dusted.
And what I would say for those guys who are still worrying, I didn't catch Eddie Howe's interview, but I saw and I read a quotation from. Yeah. He said, I'm paraphrasing here, that I'd like to see the football side of things and take that perspective, but I cannot be oblivious to what's happened. For me, Ben,
that's exactly what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, Ben, that is probably the first time that is a public acceptance and being open to a sale. Yeah. That what he's basically saying is, I love him as a footballer, but I cannot ignore as to what he's done and his behaviour
and what impact it's had on this club and the team and whatnot. But he also said, I watched all of the press conference this morning on the back of another stream, and he also said that as far as he's concerned, he's not been had any sort of relationship with him for about 2 or 3 weeks now, and he pretty much since he refused to play at Celtic, he's been detached from the squad. So they've almost got used to like him not being around and being part of it, to be honest. So it feels like it's just fallen into place. But I tell you what, that press conference is intense. There must have been about 20 journalists at least in the room, and I'd say that out of the 30 questions he probably got asked, 28 of them were about Isak. And it's like, who would want that for the next 3 months leading up to January? It'd just be like ridiculous, wouldn't it? So I think he'd be glad that it's done, to be honest.
Let's go to our super chat. I think we've got one. Cathal Gantley, thank you so much for your super chat. He says, Asim, how do you rate Indy Kalia as a source scale to 1 to 10? Look,
he's caused some stir this summer, hasn't he?
He's caused some stir, but you have to understand that even if I was against his style, I wouldn't say it, because Indy's a friend. We chat regularly, sometimes on a daily basis, and I absolutely love his style. Yes, there's a bit of a humorous touch to it, but you have to give it to him that he does break stories. And if the great David Ornstein gives him credit, then who the hell am I to say that he doesn't have sources and he doesn't have contacts? And look, he's one of the biggest accounts out there. Some people won't like his style, but you know what? Take it as a pinch of salt, and you have to say that the guy's got some stories, right? And fair play to him. Fair play.
Were you a bit disappointed that you weren't on his end of season evening dinner list?
I was, but you know what? I'm gonna tease.
That was a class tweet. That fair play, like you gotta laugh. You gotta.
I know
laugh.
what?
Absolutely.
A lot of people say this, but I can categorically deny that I have anything to do with the account, honestly. But you know what? We do chat a lot.
Yeah, he's got 500,000 followers though, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple of legitimate, journalists who want to keep a low profile, who have attached themselves to him and his team without a shadow of a doubt.
100%. And absolutely. Fair play to him, man. Fair play to him. And he's writing articles now, isn't he? Inside the football or something.
One other subject that we started to touch on before you dropped in, but obviously we can go into a bit more detail now, is Glasner's comments around Guehi, saying that he basically, it looks like there's a little bit of a feud developing between him and Parish. Yeah, and his press conference this morning, his line was, again paraphrasing, but he basically said, we cannot sell Mark Guehi because we're too late in the window. He's too important to the team. We've got nobody of anywhere near his. We haven't got. We can't. It's virtually impossible to replace him, I think was his words, and
really?
that we will be really, really struggling if we do sell him. And it came across as a bit of a message to the chairman to say, you know what, we're in trouble if you do sell him. And I wonder whether or not Glasner is the sort of manager who's like, you keep on selling the best players and you haven't replaced them. Would he go as far as to threaten to leave if they went and sold the captain?
I think it's just a late tactic by Crystal Palace to say, you know what, we know the business end is coming. We know you're going to press the button on Guehi. We know you're going to press the button on Isak. This is just a late message to you that when you do press that button and you send that fax, just make sure it's a lot closer to our valuation of the player and not your valuation of the player. For me, that is just a negotiation tactic. I think the manager cannot go from what Steve Parish was talking about after the Community Shield, saying, you know, we understand PSR, we understand the food chain, we understand that players want to move to big clubs. And although the Eze money will help them naturally, at the end of the day, they've got a player that is potentially going to leave for a free in 12 months' time. And they cannot
afford to do that.
Cannot afford to do that. So I think it's just a late tactic before both parties, sit on the chair.
What do you think the right fee would be for Guehi then?
I think Liverpool are probably looking at 30 plus £5 million.
Right. 35 million. That sounds about right. Because he was close to 60 odd million last summer to Newcastle, wasn't he? Yeah. So to get him for half of that, it probably makes about sense, to be honest. So yeah, I'd be more than happy to pay that. Would you? There was some suggestion about the idea that if now that we've got Leone, even though he's only a youngster, and we've got Konate staying, there's no threat of him going. Would you shake hands on a deal in January and we get him for say 20 million, and then he continues to play week in, week out, and then we obviously, we can get by until January. Is that something that we would think about, you think, or would we not want to leave ourselves short?
I think we've got a bit more leverage, Ben, with the Leone signing.
Yes, yeah,
a bit more. Getting to January is not getting to summer for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
and at the moment, Leone's fit, Konate's fit, Gomez has just come back, so all our centre backs are fit.
Exactly.
So I think I think that is something
quite as desperate as maybe what we could have been.
Yeah. I think
that might give us negotiation to say, right, okay, well, we don't desperately need him. We'll just have him for free next summer, sound. And then they say, right, okay, 35, then shake hands.
Yeah, and the problem Crystal Palace have is they've been trying their best to drive up a bit of an auction, but the player has said no to everybody bar Liverpool. So when a player does that, it's hard.
We've done that really well this summer, haven't we? Our targets, we've maneuvered our targets into being they only want us. It's almost been the slogan of the summer. It was always Liverpool. It was only Liverpool. Kerkez did it, didn't he? Frimpong did it. Vert did it. Ekatiki did it. Everybody has basically whenever there's been another club come to the table or been there or thereabouts, it's been quickly shut down or dismissed because the player or the agents or whoever, the dads in Kerkez's case, has said, I'm only going to Liverpool. And that gives us such a bargaining chip, doesn't it, to say, well, he's only coming to us, so you've only got us to deal with, and we haven't had to fight against another club, really, have we? Which is brilliant negotiating and brilliant work from our recruitment team again.
The bid going in tomorrow, then, men?
Yes, tomorrow. Yes, Saturday. What is it? Super Saturday. So I'll find some acronym, but yeah, tomorrow. What do you think tomorrow?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it goes in tomorrow. It might not even become public, but if it gets leaked out, then obviously we'll hear about it. I think we spend Saturday feelings. Yeah, Super Saturday. I think we get all the negotiation done. And we don't want to leave anything to the last
chance.
minute. And
No.
even they could have a power cut and the fax doesn't go through, so we just cannot risk it. If we have to buy Newcastle a new fax machine and deliver it up there, then we will do so. But I think we'll get this bid sent in tomorrow. Get this done.
It goes in tomorrow and then it's completed before Monday or maybe Monday.
No, I think it'll be on Monday.
Monday, yeah.
I think it'll be on Monday.
Good job. We're streaming all day on deadline day, then, really, isn't it?
We'll have to. We'll have to
Magic.
sort something out. Right.
What about Arsenal, then, mate? What do you think about Arsenal?
Arsenal. Let's quickly just do this super chat, then we'll talk about Arsenal, Ben. Isak LFC interview is going to be mad. What he says, and you know what?
Oh yeah, it's a good shout. That
it is going to be.
Shout.
It is going to be.
I hope he tells them that they're all bellends.
Do you think Isak, when he leaves, he puts a statement out for the Newcastle fans as well?
I think he probably puts something out that says, it was nothing to do with you. I love my time at Newcastle, but my desires were to challenge and win stuff, and my time had come, and something diplomatic. But he'll say, "I love my time at Newcastle," and that's the end of it. But I'd like to think that when it comes to his interview with Liverpool, he will have no problem holding back on his real thoughts, because he owes nothing to no one. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised either. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm getting a bit carried away, but I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle make him sign some sort of NDA either, to say that you can't say nothing when you leave, because they don't want to be dragged through the mud either, do they?
So, yeah, no, that's a fair shout. That's a fair shout. And you know what? That might be one of the compromises as well, that we're going to let you leave, but we're going to make this amicable.
We won't say nothing about you, and you don't say nothing about us, and we just crack on. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I think that's
maybe it's for the best.
Yeah. And to be honest with you,
it's just football, isn't it?
It's just football. At the end of the day, we all like drama. We've got something to talk about. But let's see what happens. But you know what? I hope if it's a video, I hope it's not a video. And you know what? You ended up recording him, and he was spending too much time in Sociedad whilst on strike. He decided, you know what? I've got a bit of time to kill. Let me record this video.
That'd be funny, that.
Oh, the Newcastle fans will go absolutely
Can you imagine?
Crazy.
It's funny, actually. I was watching, I was looking at a few tweets before, and I've got that kid, Geordie Josh, on the Twitter, and he put up a little clip of all the goals that Isak had scored against us, and there's some absolute belters in there, and he just quoted it by saying, "It's so annoying how bloody good a player this fella is," and it was like, when you one of your fans saying stuff like that, it does not get you excited about what we're actually getting in Isak. Once he's up to speed, my word, he's going to be class.
MUF, I've seen your question, brother. Please, you don't need to spam the chat. I will answer this question for you later on when we talk about Arsenal, but you don't need to send me the question 3 times. Come on. And any more questions, send them through, people. For the next 10-15 minutes, we'll take your questions. Arsenal, Ben.
Arsenal.
It's gonna be a feisty affair, I think. Again, I think both teams will want to control proceedings. It's Anfield. We need to make sure the crowd plays a part. And I absolutely loved that first half an hour or so when we played Arsenal. I didn't like the second half of the game when Arsenal came back and took control of the game and got it from 2-0 to 2-2. But I really liked what we did to Arsenal. We really harassed them. And I think, you know what? We need to not take a leaf out of Man United, but just see what Man United did to Arsenal. They just didn't let them settle. And the likes of Zubamendi, that's one of the worst games I've seen Declan Rice play for Arsenal as well. So I'm confident.
Yeah,
I think we're due to beat Arsenal. We due a performance against Arsenal. But when you listen to Arsenal fans, whether it's my nephews, whether it's my mates on WhatsApp threads, whether it's some videos from Arsenal fan channels, Ben, they're a chirpy crew anyway. But for this time, in terms of their confidence, they are coming to Anfield and saying we have to beat Liverpool. We're encouraged the way how open they look, how sort of vulnerable they look at set pieces and how strong they've been, their strong defense as well. But you know what? I think Arsenal are going to miss the likes of Saka. Doesn't matter who they play on the left or right hand side. Madueke is a decent player, but he's not no Saka.
Odegaard's a doubt, a big doubt.
Is he a big doubt? Okay.
Yeah.
So there will be Arsenal coming. If you're expecting Arsenal to come and put showcase a great attacking display, I think you're not going to get that. We know their manager. We know their type of tactics. So wherever they go in big away grounds, I think they'll come and try to, quieten the crowd. But with Liverpool, we just need to make sure they make it into not a gung-ho match, but Liverpool need to make it a match that they suit, and it suits them more than Arsenal. And I think it's about time, even though it's only been 2 games, that we haven't seen the best of Florian Wirtz. We haven't seen the best of Mohamed Salah. And I've got a sneaky feeling that them 2 players will be the star men come Sunday. But there's a lot of battles. And we need to make sure, and it's a standard cliche in football, like no silly things or no silly free kicks. But you know what? It bloody counts on Sunday. We gave too many silly free kicks against Newcastle. We just need to make sure that we don't give any encouragement to this Arsenal side, because one thing that they do have is they don't need to be playing well. And we might have the world-class players more than them, the Wirtzes, the Salahs, and these guys. But and they can get the sort of moment of magic for us and put us ahead. What they have in their advantage is that set piece out of nothing.
Yeah.
And suddenly the game has changed. And one thing they can do is defend the lead. But I want to put it on them, Ben, on Sunday.
So
I want Liverpool to really go full throttle, because I believe that as much as these guys are a good team, and in terms of structure, and in terms of physicality, I do question Arsenal's players' mentality. I really do. And I think if we put it on them, we'll see those cracks on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. I want us to come to the party on Sunday. Anyone in the chat who's going on Sunday, make it a bear pit, because I think we're going to time for the real Liverpool, the champions, to turn up on Sunday. I want us to hear us chanting champions all around the ground, and us to play like champions. We haven't put a performance in really since Spurs, I would say. At the end of last season, and then obviously Everton just dropped off after that for obvious reasons. But we'll hopefully see Gravenberch and McAllister together in midfield on Sunday for the first time since that Spurs game. My word, I think we're going to bring the A game on Sunday, and I want to batter them on Sunday. I absolutely want to steamroller them on Sunday and put them back in the box and say, "You think you're favourites? You think you've had a good summer? I want to go after them on Sunday and put a marker down and say, we're the champions. You want to come and catch us? Then all the best." I have got no doubt in my mind that we will beat them on Sunday, especially if there's been a bit of news on Isak. The ground will be rocking. Everyone will be up for it. Ekatiké's on form, playing really, really well. Wirtz is definitely due a performance now, and I think that they won't be as intensely pressing as the first 2 teams that we've played against. So we'll be a little bit more football to be played, and I think he could be the key to picking the lock, because their defense is excellent. We know that. But the fact that they've got no Saka, Eze does worry me a little bit. He'll be his debut, and I think he'll be desperate. Eze? Yeah, I think he's a top player. Yeah.
Do you think he'll play?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, I think he'll play, yeah. I think because Saka's not fit, I think he'll play, yeah. Because Martinelli's not playing well. Trossard's not really been starting, so I think he'll start Eze on the left. So we'll go Eze, Gyökeres, and Madueke. That's probably what he'll have to do.
Who plays in the number 10?
Well, maybe, but if he might get Odegaard on the pitch. But if Odegaard's a doubt, then he might just go with a much more rigid midfield 3 of Rice, Merino, and Zubimendi. That's what I'm thinking he might do. And just
Rice, Zubimendi, and who in the 10?
Merino.
Wow.
Yeah. Because basically just a big physical defensive unit, and then just play on the break with those 3, those 3 pacey. I think because Havertz is obviously injured, I wonder whether or not it plays into our hands than playing Gyökeres, because Gyökeres is not quick. He's not ideal. He's not great in transition. So if they not get, if we smother them and don't let them have the ball, then they're playing with 10 men to a certain degree. So I'd like to see us really go after them from that perspective. I fancy us on Sunday big time.
Ali is in the house. As ever, he says, Asim, any bombers? I'm not going to lie to you. I asked the question about this third player because I got told, and you have to admit, to my credit, that it came out that Liverpool are looking at a third player also in attack. I've still got the same answer, that Liverpool are open to the fact that if they see that opportunity for a third player, even in this window late on, they will press the button. They will press the button. So let's see.
As well.
So let's see what happens. And you probably think, how can they? We bloody need to get Guehi over the line. We've got Isak to get over the line, and we've got around about 72 hours to get it done. But still, the message coming out from the people who I speak to, that I understand, Liverpool are still looking at the attacking department, and if they can get one more, they will do. And it depends on some moving parts. So look, if that's true, then let's see what happens. It's going to be some transfer deadline there.
But just whizzing back to Arsenal, Bradley's trained all week. He said that in his press conference, so he should be available. And McAllister's back in full training. So what's your 11 for Sunday?
Oh, good question. I am going Dominic Szoboszlai at right back.
Really? Even with Bradley fit?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
I'm going Dominic Szoboszlai. I'm going Konate, Van Dijk, Kerkez, McAllister, Gravenberg, Wirtz, Gakpo, Ekitike, and Salah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
That's mine.
Yeah, it would solve answer a lot of questions about who doesn't play if it isn't Bradley.
No goalkeeper.
but if it is Bradley,
who would you go at right back?
I think if Bradley's is trained all week, I probably would go Bradley, but it does mean that a first teamer is on the bench. But that's going to be the case. We're going to sign Isak in 24 to 48 hours.
So go on then. Who are you benching? Sobo or McAllister? Or Gakpo?
I am benching McAllister. I wonder whether only 2 or 3 days of training means that he's not fit to start, fit to start, and that you go with Szoboszlai and Gravenberg in midfield, loads of legs, loads of energy that frees up Wirtz in the 10 and allows us to deal with their midfield. I wonder whether that's a possibility. And then McAllister comes on to close out the game in the second half with a little bit of control and a little bit of guile and finesse. That's my thought. Either one, though, I'd be happy with Szoboszlai at right back, but it'll be a different test up against Eze than it would be against. But then again, Anthony Gordon's, Harvey Barnes is a tough test, and I thought Szoboszlai was absolutely brilliant on Monday night. In general, he was loads of covering tackles, and then right at the death, he was there for the step over for the winner. So he did himself no harm whatsoever. But yeah, I think that would be my shout, McAllister.
Yeah,
for Bradley.
Ali with a cracking question. Super chat. Thank you so much, Ali. He says or asks, guys, who will get the exclusive on Isak? Which journalist? I'm gonna go.
It's a great question, though.
David Ornstein is gonna get the exclusive. And what I would say is David Ornstein is, I think, probably the best journalist out there. And he also gives me a lot of time when I speak to him. And he's a cracking fella. He doesn't need to give me a lot of time, but he gives me a lot of time. And just for that reason, I'm going David Ornstein.
Not Fab?
No, I think David Ornstein.
Ornstein, yeah. So just like bang out the blue, Liverpool. So and do you think, like we've said it a few times, but do you think it's a bid or do you think it's straight to an agreed?
Ooh, it depends. If we go for the bid and that gets leaked, then I can see someone like Fab. David Ornstein, Paul Joyce won't leak a bid. I don't think
No,
so. I think
no.
David Ornstein and Paul Joyce will say Liverpool have agreed,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
Liverpool are close to
yeah,
agreeing.
yeah. Another curveball that I suggested at the beginning, and we haven't seen it at all this summer at all, but it used to be a thing back in the day. I mentioned in the chat, and some of them said that it might well be the case. But remember, in previous transfer windows, there's been times when deals have been done and the fee has been undisclosed. I wonder whether or not to save face,
Yeah,
it comes
yeah.
out as an undisclosed fee, and then nobody can worry about getting one over on the other. Then it's just a case of we've agreed it, an undisclosed fee, job done.
What about the Newcastle side? They might get it.
They might get it, yeah, yeah, yeah. If anybody, it's going to be Craig No Hope in it. He'll have all the hope in the world because he's led the way this summer. He was the first one to get Volta made. He said he got Volta made. So I think there's a good chance that if it is their side, it'll be Craig.
What about
He's on the
Lukaku?
bell. He's on the bell.
Is he on the
Oh,
bell? Yeah.
imagine if it was our own legend.
Yeah, I think Craig Hope is a really good shout, to be fair.
Yeah.
So Zach Stevie with the super chat. Thank you so much, Zach. Maka is vital to our passing and control of games. You're going to take that, Ben, because you've dropped him.
I couldn't agree with you more, mate. But 2 days training for a game of this magnitude, I just wonder whether Slot will err on the side of caution and go with legs. Because McAllister, we've seen when he hasn't been completely match fit in a game of this magnitude, sometimes he can get caught on the turn a little bit. And I wonder whether or not that this might be one of those situations where, at least for the first 60, we go with the legs of Gravenberch and Szoboszlai in midfield. But I could be completely wrong. I've been wrong many a time.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is when look, I was talking about this when against the biggest sides, and I think Arsenal did it in our away game where they pulled McAllister right to the left-hand side to vacate space in the centre, but they're also dragging McAllister out is because of his lack of legs. But when he doesn't play, Ben, we just don't have the same level of intelligence and IQ in midfield.
No. Agreed.
And
Don't get me wrong. He's near enough to face on the team sheet in midfield, but it's just that how fit is he? How match fit is he for a game of this magnitude?
Do you think Slot gives him 60?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe he does it the other way around. Maybe he starts with them and then pulls them off, and then Bradley comes on, and Szoboszlai moves to right back. Sorry, possibly. That could be the thing. It's nice that we've got some options now. All of a sudden, it's the first game of the season when we're going to have Gravenberch and McAllister available. So I think that's a huge bonus. So it's nice to have those options. And again, having Bradley back as well is huge. So we'll see. But I'm supremely confident on Sunday. I just feel like Arsenal are the sort of team where they're very powerful and they're very good. But I think Saka is there. He's their dynamite. He's their game changer, and they don't have him. And I just think I just don't feel like they've got a goal in them other than a set piece. So if we defend set pieces well, then I think we'll beat them. No problem. I think we'll beat them well. I think we'll beat them maybe 3-1.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going with 2-1. But I want to ask you which fullbacks, we've talked about our fullbacks, Ben. Which fullbacks do you think, and chat get involved, which fullbacks do you think Arteta is going to play on Sunday?
Arsenal, yeah. They've got a lot of options, haven't they? They've got a lot of options. They've got a real depth there. Well, I think I'm right in saying that White's still out. So at right back, it will be probably, I think it will probably be, who's the other right back alternative? Is it not Lewis Kelly's left, isn't he?
Lewis Kelly and
It'll be
Calafiori, Ben White and Timber.
And Timber, yeah. So it'll be Timber right back, and I think it'll be Calafiori at left back, because I think
So.
Skelly started the season a little bit edgy. Got booked against United. I think he didn't look quite as fluent as normal. He was absolutely phenomenal in the second half of last season, but he looks a bit rusty at the moment. So I think Calafiori, they can't get him on the pitch enough. So while he is fit, I think the height and the physicality, they'll go with Timber and for Calafiori.
Ben MUF is not going to stop. We have to answer this question for him. What do you think of the Hincapié deal for Arsenal? I think Zinchenko might go if they can get rid of him.
He's on the verge of going, yeah.
And
Kivior's gone as well now.
Kivior, I think this is a brilliant deal. Why? Because he can play left back, he can play left centre back as well. And for me, I don't know how much has he got. Agreed around about £60 million, is it? Or is it
something like that? Yeah, 60 million. Yeah. But I just think, it'd be interesting to see though, because where does he get his game? Because he plays Gabriel and Saliba every single game. So maybe he's realised that he needs to rotate a little bit. But his depth at the back is just mad, isn't it? To be fair, he is a very good signing, and we'll see how long he takes to adapt. But tell you what, there's no excuses for Arsenal now, is there? They've spent a serious amount of money this summer.
What if he's thinking about Lewis Kelly back into midfield, because that's where he spent his younger days, didn't he?
Possibly, yeah, possibly, because he's now obviously got an extra a body less in midfield, hasn't he? I think Norgard is not fit, has been injured since pre-season. He's obviously lost Odegaard as well now. He might be 50-50. So, yeah, possibly he can use Lewis Skelly in midfield.
What's Jake said? My phone battery's dead. What's Jake said?
Jake, as in RJ?
Yeah, Jake's been busy.
I haven't got Jake on Twitter.
I think this is the tweet. The next 48 to 72 hours are going to be
Jake. Yes, Jake.
Go on, Jake.
Dear me, you got to laugh, haven't you? That is 100% factual, though, as well.
100%. Go on. We've got some ITKs. Okay, let me ask the chat, Ben, when they think the bid is going to go in. Let's see what we get. Chat, fire away. When do you think the bid is going to go in? I know I'm going to get tomorrow. No one's going to say Sunday.
Let's see. If anyone says it'll go in within the next 24 to 48 hours.
Whilst we're waiting for them to come through, what I would say is Hincapié played against us. I watched him close up. I was impressed, even when we beat what do you call him, Leverkusen. I thought he's a really good player. The good thing about Hincapié is he's comfortable on the inside and he's comfortable on the outside as well. And when he was going from the left-sided centre-back positions to going and marking when they were going into a man-to-man press, and their full-back, their wing-back was going on our right-back, Hincapié was going over to Salah. I think Salah did have some moments as well, to be fair to him. But I think Hincapié was really comfortable going from left centre-back and going out on the touchline and defending. So I really liked him. He is that mould of like a Guardiola, obviously not as good, but I think he'll do well, and I think he'll be all right with the physicality of the league as well.
Yeah, well, they've got decent money for Kivior and Zinchenko, it looks like. So the fee is a lot, but it's not quite as much if they've recouped a good chunk of it from them two players who are pretty much surplus to requirements. Like Kivior actually did a decent job last season, didn't he, when he came in? I think everyone thought that they were going to fall apart, but he did a really decent job. But I think Hincapié is obviously just a genuine first choice option, as opposed to Kivior just being a backup if Saliba and Gabriel aren't available, whereas Hincapié definitely could be a genuine starter. So yeah, can't argue. Good player.
100%. Ben, is that the wrap?
I think it is, mate, yeah. 1 hour 20, yeah.
I thought we might have a day off, and then I started getting so many people messaging me on Twitter. And I was on the way home, and I thought, you know what, let's go home, let's get a bite to eat, and then relax for the next for the rest of the night. But
you put out the bat signal. You put out the bat signal, and it was like, there it is, the signal's up, let's go.
if you said no, then I thought, you know what, I'll let's see what Ben says. But you vote for it, and then we had to give the people a show. So, but you know what? There's still 650 of you in the building. You know what to do on the way out. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. That's all we ask for. Head over to the BNR membership, become a BNR Ultra, and support the boys, support the channel, and all that good stuff. And if you're watching the show later on, then let us know below the line as to what you think. When the bid is going in, what's the bid going to be? What's the compromise going to be? What we're going to shake our hands on, and what your lineup is. Is it Szoboszlai at right back? Is it Bradley at right back? Please let us know what your thoughts are. Tomorrow, we normally do take a day off, but you know what? We're on standby for the next 72 hours. That is the theme.
Absolutely.
Be on standby. And you know what, Bonner Red, whether it's Waxy, whether it's Junior, we are having, and officially, there's no cop-out this weekend, because we've told Ben is joining us as well. He's traveling up from Liverpool to join us in studio, the first ever Born and Red
watch
along. That's the look. See what I mean? We never even.
It's right in front of you.
I should be opening my eyes.
He's definitely had a long day.
So please join us for that.
Can't wait.
It's gonna be me. It's gonna be Ben. Probably Aki.
Gene,
obviously, he's gonna be there. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it. But we might get cancelled after the first show. If we do, it was nice knowing you all. But until tomorrow, is it officially a day off where you could be seeing us. If I'm predicting
4 o'clock onwards.
4 o'clock onwards. I'll take that. Okay, people, have a good night.
You're all free to do what you want up until 4 o'clock. But after that point, be ready for anything.
Be ready for anything. Good night. And we'll see you soon. Bye for now.